The fall into memory. Pavel plummeted through darkness. You know, the weird kind of darkness, not the blind, empty kind, but a darkness alive with motion. Swirls of light, faint whispers, shadowy shapes dancing along unseen walls. Air rushed past his ears, yet there was no wind. His body was weightless, suspended, as if gravity had forgotten how to claim him. Then something shifted swiftly and motionless. A surface rose up to meet him like a soft wave. He landed not with a crash, but a jolt, as though an unseen cushion absorbed the impact. He gasped, and eyes adjusted. He was standing in a vast cavern illuminated by floating shards of light that drifted like fireflies. The walls were smooth granite, carved with overlapping layers of patterns, Shona spirals merging with Central European geometric motifs, as if two forgotten cultures had met and left their marks in unity. A pulsing stone pathway stretched before him, glowing faintly underfoot. Where am I? His voice echoed strangely, as though the cave itself was listening. Then a low rumbling voice responded. You are in the Chamber of Memory, descendant of the Traveler. Pavel spun around. A tall figure emerged from behind a stone pillar, cloaked in a robe woven from what looked like threads of gold and earth. The figure's face was hidden beneath a hood, but a warm amber light glowed where its eyes should have been. Who are you? Pavel stammered. The figure stepped closer. I am called the Custodian. He swallowed hard. What do you want from me? Not what I want, the Custodian replied. What your bloodline began. What your ancestor feared. What the Circle now seeks to silence. The cavern trembled slightly, as if agreeing. Pavel stepped back. How do you know my ancestor? The Custodian raised an arm, drawing a wide circle in the air. Light gathered, forming a moving image. His ancestor, younger than the faded photo Pavel had seen in his grandmother's attic. A man with strong features, ink-stained fingers, and eyes filled with determination. A mapmaker, a historian, a runaway guardian of something older than nations. He was chosen by the stones, the Custodian said gently, just as you have been. The image shifted. Pavel watched blurry visions of past centuries. His ancestor working alongside Shona scholars. The Danubian Circle in its earliest shadowy form. Cloaked figures meeting under torchlight. A migration route connecting two continents long before colonial borders. A symbol of a rising sun shared between cultures swallowed by time. The moment his ancestor fled Zimbabwe carrying a secret that could collapse the Circle's influence. The Custodian spoke. The Circle has tried for generations to erase the truth, that civilizations once cooperated, traded, and shared knowledge across great distances. That Europe is not the sole cradle of certain ancient ideas. That Africa's kingdoms once forged paths beyond their borders. Pavel's pulse quickened. My ancestor knew this? He discovered what the Circle feared, evidence of an interconnected ancient world. A world that challenges their fabricated hierarchy of civilizations. Pavel's voice cracked. All he left me was a letter, and now this bird. Why me? Because you carry his courage, the Custodian said, and his unfinished task. The ground shook slightly, dust falling from the ceiling. The Circle has breached the outer wall, the Custodian whispered. We have little time. The Custodian beckoned Pavel toward a large stone table covered in etched lines. A map, unlike any map Pavel had ever seen. This is the original, the Custodian said, the one your ancestor copied, the one the Circle wishes to destroy. The map displayed Southern Africa, Central Europe, a route between them that predated sea records, symbols marking hidden knowledge, shared rituals, and ancestral migrations. A three-pointed emblem showing the union of cultures. Pavel reached out, tracing the connecting line with his fingertip. A warm pulse traveled up his arm. What is this energy? The memory of the earth, the Custodian said simply. It responds to those who seek truth without domination. Pavel's voice steadied. What do you want me to do? The Custodian lifted a heavy stone cylinder onto the table. You must carry this to the Valley of Convergence, beyond the Zambezi. There the truth must be awakened. Pavel frowned. Where exactly is that? You will know when it is time, Of course, Pavel thought, cryptic guidance, because nothing in his life had been normal since he opened that attic trunk. He lifted the cylinder. It was cold, heavy, important. Then, a distant explosion shook the cavern. The Custodian's voice hardened. "They are breaking through. Follow the glowing path," the Custodian ordered. "It will lead you to the surface." "What about you?" Pavel demanded. "I am part of this chamber. I remain." A section of the cavern wall split open, revealing a narrow tunnel lit by pale blue light. "Go," the Custodian urged, "and trust Tanya. She has been chosen too." How do you?" But the Custodian raised a hand, silencing him. "Run, child of the traveler." Pavel clutched the cylinder and sprinted into the tunnel just as the main cavern shook violently. The tunnel sloped upward, and soon Pavel saw sunlight filtering through cracks. His lungs burned. Sweat dripped down his temples. Finally, he crawled out through a narrow slit between boulders and emerged into daylight. A sharp whistle cut through the air. "Pavel." Tanya sprinted toward him, her shirt torn, face smeared with dust and sweat. Behind her, 2 Danubian operatives chased, weapons drawn. Pavel called out, "This way." She slid beside him just as a gunshot cracked. A bullet fizzed past her shoulder, embedding itself in the rock wall. "Are you hurt?" Pavel asked breathlessly. "Only my pride," she snapped. "I tried taking them on, but they brought reinforcements." Another shout rang out in Czech. "Stop. You cannot run forever." "They're spreading out," Tanya said, scanning the terrain. "We need to move." Pavel nodded. The Custodian said to trust the path. "What Custodian?" "No time." They bolted across uneven terrain, granite boulders, old trees, patches of grass whispering in the wind. Operatives shouted behind them, gaining ground. Tanya spotted an incline and pointed. "Up there. If we reach the ridge, I can radio for help." "Help from who?" Pavel panted. "From a friend who owes me a stupidly big favor." They scrambled upward, rocks scraping their palms. Pavel nearly slipped, but Tanya grabbed his wrist and hauled him forward. Another shot rang out closer. "We need to split up," Tanya shouted. "Make them choose." "No," Pavel said firmly. "We stay together." She looked at him, surprised but grateful. They reached the ridge edge. Below was a steep slope leading into a river valley. Tanya peered over. "If we slide down, we'll hit the riverbed. Painful but survivable." Pavel gulped. "And if we don't, we get captured by people who collect secrets and erase families." Pavel took a breath and jumped first. He slid down the slope, stones cutting into his skin. Dust rose around him in a cloud. Tanya followed seconds later, landing beside him in a crouch. They rolled the last few meters and slammed into the dry riverbed. Pavel groaned. Painful was an understatement. "Get up," Tanya hissed. "They're on the ridge. Above them, silhouettes lined the cliff." Kovac's voice echoed. "Bring them back alive if possible. If not, retrieve the artifact." Tanya grabbed Pavel's hand and pulled him into the shadows of the riverbed. The riverbed led into an old tunnel carved by centuries of floodwater. It was dark, winding, narrow, perfect for hiding. Pavel finally caught his breath. "Tanya, thank you. I don't know how you found me." She wiped dirt from her cheek. "I wasn't leaving without you." He studied her face, bruised, tired, fierce. "You're incredible," he said softly. She smirked. "Don't get sentimental. We're not out yet." But her eyes flickered with something warm. Pavel lifted the cylinder. "We need to protect this." "What is it?" "A directive. From the past. And a map. And maybe history itself rewritten." Tanya exhaled. "Pavel, you're in deep. So are you." "I know," she admitted. They moved deeper into the tunnel, guided only by the faint glow from Pavel's artifact. The air grew cooler, wetter. Drips echoed from distant chambers. Eventually, the tunnel opened into a large cavern. Tanya paused. "This is not on any survey map." Pavel looked around. "It's older than any map. As they moved through the cavern, a shadow shifted behind a rock pillar. Unseen, unheard, watching, a silhouette stepped forward slowly once they had passed. A woman, dressed in dark tactical clothing, not Danubian, but equally professional. She wore no insignia, but her stance suggested training of the highest level. She touched her earpiece. "I've found them," she whispered. "They have the cylinder." Her voice was cold, precise, unfamiliar. She continued, awaiting further instructions. Then she vanished back into the shadows, following quietly. The tunnel sloped upward again, turning into a long crack between rocks. When they climbed out, they emerged into a sunlit valley with tall baobab trees and flowing streams. It was peaceful. Birds called in the distance. Wind rustled tall grass. Pavel exhaled with relief. "We made it. For now," Tanya said cautiously, "but we need to get far away before they reseal their perimeter." Pavel studied the cylinder in his hand, then the sunlit valley. "Tanya, I think this is the first landmark on the map." She raised an eyebrow. "You think we're already on the route to the Valley of Convergence?" "Yes. This place, it feels different. Alive." Tanya looked around slowly. "Maybe this is why your ancestor came here. Maybe this route has been waiting for you." Pavel nodded. "Then we follow it." They walked deeper into the valley, unaware of the figure tracking them from behind, silent as a shadow, until she whispered into her earpiece, "They're heading east. Proceed with the secondary plan."
Subscribe, like, and hit the notification button for more.